Alright, this is tape 38, 1995 Shop Series. We're getting ready to go to the team trials. I went through the mail today. This photo came in from Rick Levesque. We may get him on the Coxsackie tape and may get him on this tape. Real nice SV11, looks real nice. I love the name, For the Shore. Great. Now this is something really special. I really cherish stuff like this. I opened up a box today from John English, and I had helped him with the muffling system on his twin. If you look at the Nats tapes, tape 1 in fact. And he sent me this real nice collage photo, and I just want to just thank him. It's unbelievable how nice it is. And let them know, hey baby, it's on a place of honor right near all our trophies and pictures of Jimmy Casale in the nude and whatnot. We really do treasure all these gifts that come in like this. Thanks a lot, John. I'm stopping by at George Ventrini's today, and I want to take a little footage of the little project he's been working on. First thing is you got to walk down 10,000 stairs loaded with tools and junkies. You take your life in your hands here. Hey, bada bing, look. I want to video your backyard. Look at this. He makes a course. We're gonna. You're not done. Bullshit. Come on. People want to see what you do for a living. They think you build planes and you're a bum like me. This is a living. Look at this backyard. This guy, the king of backyards, gets to see the B-17 land right from his backyard. Unbelievable. Decks, lower decks, upper decks, middle decks. Plays with the whole full deck. I don't know. How's the pond coming?
That's it. I gotta work on a waterfall.
Oh man, this guy's got his own pond.
And I gotta find out what it is.
Waterfall. Hey, check this out, man. Tell me this guy isn't cool. Now I know this is dedicated specially to Mrs. DeJulia, who loves to look at backyards. Follow through with this and check this out. Look at this little table. All right, how many fish you got in here today?
18.
18 left? Tell me this isn't cool. Hey, we're going to go to Adamusco's tomorrow. You want to take a ride?
I got to go to Pennsylvania.
Ah, baloney. We're going to go to Adamusco's, see his shop. Jimmy's going to come over. Now, believe it or not, I spent a good chunk of time last summer helping George do this. George, of course, has done all of the engineering, all of the work, too.
Walk down this path to the end.
Check this out, in case his wife wants to jump to her death here. I tell people about all this work we're doing here, and everybody says, oh, I don't believe it, you know? Hey, bullshit. This was a lot of work. Look at the drop-off here, just in case the neighbor... like 1,000 feet down into the neighbor's house. This was a lot of work, man. A lot of work.
This way.
Yesterday it fell off, but this was...
Yeah, it's facing the wrong way. Look at this. He's got the giant man-eating tomato here facing the wrong way.
You know, this will bloom tomorrow, probably.
Huh? Yeah. It's an amazing backyard. Mrs. DeJulia, I did this just for you, so you could see. I tell Steve to get out there and do some yard work. We'll go see Adamusco tomorrow. Well, I was headed over to my other house in Little Ferry to mow the grass, and B-17 was landing, so I couldn't resist the chance to come over and see it. It's going to be on display this weekend. I know Ed Amusko would be eating his heart out to see this, so we're going to go over and take a little tour. Thing really looks like it's restored to mint condition. Jeez. Unbelievable. Well, maybe they all didn't have superchargers. Maybe only some of them did.
I think that's a supercharger, isn't it?
Can't tell. Look at this! Quiet, look, he's looking for his earring under the B-17. Jimmy Casal. Oh, this video's going out worldwide. I called your house last night. Nick answered the phone.
Yeah, Nicky doesn't give me messages, man.
Well, whoever Nick is, give him a kick in the ass.
Tell you, he's one of my flying buddies, Wendy Yernowski.
Yeah, the last time we were down here, they had the B-29, and Joe Adamusco and I. I mean, Fifi was here. And then the year before that, they had the Liberator, so this is cool. This thing is really in mint condition. Even inside. You can't really shoot video inside, it's too dark, but boy, is it ever polished and buffed. And they have a little trail, I'll try to get that on a tape later. It has the matching tail insignia too. Cool. German electrosets on this thing. This is a German, this is the last one of its kind in the world. We've been told, see, this is the day before the show opens, we've been told there's going to be a Jap Zero here too. We don't see the Jap Zero. George just asked a good question. When you look at where the gunner was on here, there's no place for him to sit or stand. I'm wondering where he would normally sit or stand. BMW inline engines. This is the last one of its kind. It's a Henkel 111, the last one of its kind in the world flyable. That's the last time. It's docking up a little.
You had to carry the bag. You were, I mean, there was a whole procedure, wasn't there?
Send Walker a copy of this tape. Start the engines, Jim. Jimmy Casal flying a B-17. Where else but on Pro Stunt Video? You don't see this in a magazine, baby. Inside the wheel well here, trying to get some detail shots. Jimmy Casal's up there flying. I hope he doesn't retract the gear. Pretty impressive. Hey, you might be wondering, what's all this got to do with control line stunt? I'll tell you what it has. Have a life. Don't let stunt dominate your life to the point where it's the only thing you do or enjoy. Have a life. Enjoy every part of life. Take it from the old Moondrow here. B-17s are cool. Whether Paul Walker has them, or Jimmy's flying them, or Adamusco's eating his heart out. Have a life first.
About the World War II fly-off down the Hudson next Friday.
A beautiful day at Middlesex, just gorgeous. We're going to be going up to Joe Adamusco's palace. What do they call your house now? The Adamusco Air Museum or what? We're going to be going up to see Joe. He's got a 60 in the Stuntress. We're going to try to get some video and some trim flights today. He's had 2 different props on already today, and we're going to try to get... This is the which is this now? This is the 12.6?
YNO 12.6.
12.6 YNO coming up.
McGuire. Big show next weekend. McGuire.
Okay, this is Joe's 3rd flight of the day, and what we're basically trying to do is work with some props today. When this plane had the 51 in it, I think one of the handicaps was it was limited as to the diameter of prop it'll turn. With the 60 in it, of course, you're not limited at all to what prop it'll turn. A lot of cool things to be tested and tried. A lot of cool things yet to go. The team trials are coming up. Scott Smith's contest coming up next weekend. And as always on a Middlesex day, we make the most out of some really funky air that's going on here. We really do have some. Jimmy had one exciting square 8 so far that's got everybody's full undivided attention. I have a couple of props I want to try on Strega now. We have the CG set way back. That's one of the things. We may get a flight or 2 on video today. Got the CG much further back than we had it at the Nats. And the handle shrunk down quite a bit. Some of the tip laid out. Again, we're going for that, what we feel the judges would be more likely to buy at a team trials. The very hard corner and maybe a little smaller geometry. Again, we'll find out. Win, lose, or draw, we're going to find out a lot. And Strega has been kind of behaving himself real well. I made up a spare muffler for him this week, so we had 2 identical tongue mufflers just in case. And what that allows me to do too is, like on a day like today, try various muffler combinations on other people's planes. And without taking a one-off Strega, I can just go put the spare one on Jimmy's plane, on Joe's plane, just to see what the back pressure would be relative to what they're running. Joe's got the tongue on here now with the 2 slots, which is usually a very powerful wide open setup. This has a real nice corner. Hey, by the way, just general information. Today will be the first day we get to see what progress Joe has made on a Spitfire, and which will be a very similar wing to what's in here. The elliptical, full elliptical wing. Spitfires. Oh my God. I'm thinking about them in my sleep already. And anybody out there has Spitfire pictures, photos, videos, you know, whatever, pass them on to us. We'll copy them and then send them back. Really looking to accumulate, just like we did with Tsunami and Strega, a good library of Spitfire information. And this will be a joint project of Joe and Wendy. We're hoping we might even be able to do from it a Model Airplane magazine article and maybe even a cover shot. And certainly the construction videos for the 1996 Shop Series will document all our construction techniques. Try to get some, actually starting with today, try to get some of this on the tape. And the neat thing is, like going to George's place yesterday and getting to Joe Adamusco's shop, one of the things it allows you to do is through video, get to visit some of the people or get to know them in a more intimate, more friendly way. Obviously, people in California and Wisconsin and Florida, or especially the ones in Australia that buy these tapes, they don't get to see a lot of these things. Now, we had Joe Parisi and his wife here. Well, hell, they would never get if it wasn't for the videos. They must have taken home 15, 20 videos. They wouldn't have any way to visit Joe Adamusco's shop. Some of the other things we did on George's backyard, the B-17, who knows what, or see some of these things under construction. So, the power of video. And we certainly hope you're enjoying even the things that, little distractions like the B-17, the Henkel. Last year we did Fifi. In fact, Joe was there. We did the Fifi thing, the B-29. Now this prop, just for whatever it's worth, looks a little wimpier than the other one. Joe will probably have to go in on the needle a little bit. It's always in the overhead 8, you see the wimpiness. Or go back to the prop he started with. And again, he's got a whole handful of props. They're all painted. They're ready to test, balanced, ready to go. So when you get out to the field, you're almost ready right from the get-go. And I have 2 new ones to try, so again, that's what we always do when we get together in our little group. And most of all, have some fun. There's nothing quite as bad as keyboard diarrhea, boy, oh boy.
Diarrhea.
Yeah, ED.
Hope this is not on tape.
Nah. A nice big wing shift comes in. Right when you probably go for the wing over pull out. Anyway, that's one of the advantages of flying in a place like Middlesex where the air is constantly changing. You're constantly changing the trim of the plane, trying to get used to new trim changes, and today looks like no exception. I brought a gallon of 7% fuel to try, and it's way too powerful. I'm flying around a circle like a Reno rocket ship. Which I guess would be appropriate for Strega. By the way, Jimmy bought a magazine that has some real cool pictures of the new Strega, the new paint job. Maybe get a chance to get them on the video later. I know a lot of people out there like Banjock and Adamusco and myself, Law and Gerald Champ, needless to say, love Reno Roller. Love those pictures, man. Keep them coming in. We're doing Spitfire, so dig deep into your pockets and find me some Spitfire. What I'd really like to find is now the air is moving now. I can tell by the way this plane is flying. Where is he walking to? He's gonna hit us pretty soon if he doesn't want. But he really did back up. Whoa! Not so close, Jimmy. We're at Middlesex. And it feels like the wind, I was just gonna say, like it just shifted 180 degrees again. See, this is what makes it challenging, because let's say you're at a Nats or a World Championships and you got to fly in this air, and all you've bothered to do for your whole career is segment out good air and fly in 2-mile-an-hour breeze. You're screwed. You don't have a fighting chance of working on it. At least here we get a little taste of, what's coming down the pipe and get a chance to work on what trim change would be appropriate. Usually in this kind of dead air, reach for some propeller diameter and pitch. Number 1, awesome higher nitro fuel. This looks better down at this end of the field right now. But again, when the conditions are varying on every flight, if you go to a field and if the conditions are the same for the whole day, well, you really flew one flight is what you do. When the conditions are changing constantly, this gives you a little mental exercise in keeping up with the airplane. Jimmy's going for his operation, I think, next week, so I won't be seeing him for a while. So we get him out of a cast or a wheelchair or a coffin or whatever he's going in. A shipping crate to Australia. I don't know what they're going to do with him. Another thing always works good in this kind of shifty, crazy air is a wide open tongue, which was already on my plane. And I think Adamusko's got the slotted tongue. That's the muffler from hell. The wind seems like it's going right in this direction now, steady. So we may even get a couple good flights there. Who knows? We'll do some lunch at the diner, as we always do. Oh, Sullivan's here with his clean pipe plane. He's got a, we haven't looked at it yet, but he's afraid to take it out of the car, I think. I guess we're going to step on it or something. Actually, we look forward to seeing him trying to develop something. He had a lot of good experience trying to develop the 51, and of course, always add to the data bank anytime you can. Jimmy's working on a Moki crutch already. Keith Ferguson started his Strega last Monday night at the class. Keith is starting to build a Strega. The fuse started. He's got his Nobler almost finished. Jim Shahady Nobler, so we're going to have a hell of a building season coming up here. Stay tuned, Juni Moon. Here's one of our old friends from the Bradley days here, his new speed model. Look at this model. And what kind of motor's in here?
Tycoon.
This is a Russian motor?
Yeah.
And trust me, this is where tune pipes belong. You're gonna fly this later? We'll move the models when you're ready to fly.
Okay.
Okay, he's using 016 solids, by the way.
You want to put the order too? Did you see the guy with the little mount station?
Oh, he's got another one back. I didn't even see that. This one's got aluminum tune pipe. Both tune pipes. Carbon fiber wings.
1 pound. 1 pound weight.
And that's 016 solids. I got some of those 016 solids from Bob Martinez, by the way. Gonna try them. All right, let us know when you're gonna fly, and we'll move. Don't know if we're gonna get to see this fly or not. He's testing, playing with motors here. I don't know what we're doing. This prop has a lot of pitch, Jimmy. I looked at this before. Probably worked good on your plane, too.
I would think I'd like to try a heavy pitch.
Yeah.
I work better with the 6, maybe I work better slow with the 7 1 and 2.
He's still got that pipe tunnel. You ought to seal up that pipe tunnel. Yeah, it's got a lot of pitch. This will be a formal attempt for the world's record. I think we're going to get back. Notice we have moved all the stun ships. Get behind the fence, Joe. Oh, you are already. Okay. Good move. This well-orchestrated pit crew from hell here.
Go ahead.
That's what I like, a real man. Flip it by hand. That sissy goes and gets his electric starter. No glove either. One-bladed prop. What's going to hit you? Oh, the other blade. Uh-oh, it started. It's not on the pipe yet. Not on the pipe. Not on the pipe. On the pipe, off the pipe, on the pipe. It's on the pipe! There we go. On the, on the spinner. Hey, what was that all about? Fire this pit crew in a minute. Good thing you guys are union workers.
That's the prop. Look at it.
Look at us, we're hiding all the stun ships behind the fence here. Ah, beauty. Artwork and beauty. We just happen to have a spare 13.5 rev up for the guy. Now you know why everybody hates us. Off the pipe. On the pipe. Off the pipe.
Nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
Off the pipe. Off the pipe. Come on, get back on the pipe. Not on the pipe right now. No world's record today unless that goes back on the pipe. Looks weird with that big inboard wing now. You've seen it. Anyway, well, it's on the top. Boy, when that thing goes on the pipe, holy crow. Man, that goes when it gets on the pipe. Woo-hoo! Now what is that, just too lean?
You can land by the pits.
Yeah, right. What was that, too rich or too lean? Too rich? You gotta buy us lunch now, you know. Cheer up. You look all sweaty. I'm going to show Jimmy Casalla's video. He had a Musco mansion. Yeah, I'm hip. Nicely landscaped too.
Yeah, I'm the gardener.
You're the gardener and the Spitfire mechanic and.
Spitfire mechanic and this is the side entrance.
Yeah, cool.
You know, that's where all my UPS stuff gets dumped right up on it.
Look at all these exotic plants. Holy moly.
Yeah, this is stuff that Sue planted and
Yeah, so each one takes care of your own like gardening and stuff, or do they do it for you? Like
no, this is my deal.
Oh,
See that
okay.
window right there? That is my workshop. That's where we're gonna go, right up there.
They're right there now.
That's it. That's
Where they come from.
We're going in there right now.
There's a little guard dog eating a lounge chair over there.
My snow blower, lawn
That is
mower.
the U2, huh?
That's the year too. Well, I'll take it down. You gotta
Take it down, take it out in the driveway. Look at, there's a little stunt machine up there.
Yeah.
Take it out in the driveway, man. We're on tour here. It's either this or
You can
pizza.
have it. Sure.
Oh,
No.
God, give that to my grandson. Why you cheapo? Don't you dare take that,
Not
Jimmy.
any better than I can.
My grandson will eat that alive. This is the real U2?
That's your birthday present, Jim.
This is the real U2.
Thank you.
This is the one that was in the magazine and everything?
We'll make it fly.
Yeah, it's a little, you know, a little dusty. It's only 20, however, it's 73 to 95. If you get that, it flies. 049, I had a 449 diesel, I had a TDDD, whatever. Have some fun.
Nice carving job on this. I remember this from the
Yeah.
first day you came out to Harrisburg. I remember you had this.
And it still flies, you know, just that it's a keepsake, more or less. But
All that carving, the scoops and all that
put
stuff.
that little sun machine down there and let wind get
Yeah, let's see that little half-A. My grandson's gonna like
Check
that.
little sexy racing
He ain't
wheels
getting
there.
it. That's what you think. That is cute. That stunt machine is
We'll get a
awesome.
VA 049 for it, we'll get it to fly, and we'll share it next year at the
Yeah,
Nats.
okay, no problem. Hey,
There's no builder of the model rule in here at the Nats. I'll
there
get it
isn't.
flying,
Now, what
we'll
I
play with
did,
it.
I had a problem in a turn with that thing where it would do one of these on it. And I thought
Look at
cutting
this
the flaps
cockpit
down. You
detail,
may want to
nice.
put a little piece of flap back on there or something. And you want to start this thing out with a little bit of nose weight too because it's real twitchy. And I flew it on 08 stranded. But hey, have some fun with it. You may want
That's
to
gorgeous.
cut it up or do something different to it. But
That's too pretty to leave sitting on the wall.
no, well, you use it. That's the whole
The
idea.
Japanese guys at the Nats had a little Cobra, like the same size, a half-A Cobra. Beautiful.
Cobra.
Oh, it was sweet. Yeah, it really was
Yeah,
nice.
but I went the whole thing. Wheel pants, some little,
Oh, yeah.
little racing wheels in there.
I'm hip. Little pepperoni
You said
pizzas
right
in
there
there.
on it when you flew it, didn't it? Or?
Yeah, it did have, not trike gear, like a nose. Hinge line tape, you know, when you do the wrong kind of tape.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
Oh, no, we did that at the Nats, the Strega. Makes a good repair video.
But it still flies pretty good. It's only like one maneuver that it gets a little funny in, but it's,
I think you could put a 60 right in there, Joe.
yeah, it would take, it would
Quit
take.
fooling around, man.
But a max 35.
Nice 13.6 on that. Pull that right through.
Definitely an epoxy nose.
Oh, it's been battered and banged and vibrated on. It had about 8. But you get it going. I try to take the hinge lines on it, try to do all kind of high, but I know you can figure it out.
Well, next year, make a little Cardinal for me, Joe. A little Spitfire. Hey.
Stick it in your truck and have some fun.
Oh, like I said,
That where maybe once somebody had one and they didn't want to really modify it much, and it,
Yeah, in the back there's Spitfires. New Strega paint job. Look at all this stuff in here. Oh my God. Eat your heart out, Banjo.
next page is the pretty rare bear picture I was talking about.
Yeah, they got the rare bear repainted and everything. Oh my God.
That's a racing spit.
It'd be nice though to give them $1 million.
yeah.
There's the new rare bear.
That's what I want. I like that. Oh, that looks nice. That little
Yeah.
all
Brown Dells on the wing, the yellow leading edge.
yellow. All the, that's it. That's
Spitfires.
come on in. Let's. And this is that thin crust.
Thin crust, get one of each. One plain, one pepperoni. I'll finish whatever you sissies don't finish. Real men finish all the pie.
Jim, you want to grab my videos?
Will do. Yeah, you got your
Hey,
tapes?
look, here's a.
Oh, look at this
Trying
guy.
to teach my nephews.
Look at this. Everywhere you go, there's tapping their fuel and your water blowers and everything.
386.
There's where I keep my compressor, and I got it piped
Yeah, cool.
upstairs. Can you use some steel wool, Wendy, or Jim?
No.
You need some? You need
Not
some?
right now, thanks.
Take a-
Alcohol. Try getting us some more. Oh my God, look at this. Midgley, eat your heart out. He's got his rack right in the living room.
You want your unit up, or?
Look at this.
Okay.
Holy mackerel.
Some of that heat.
My wife doesn't want to hear about hanging planes in the living room. She doesn't think that's funny at all.
This isn't the living room, this is the
Oh!
area I want to turn into a workshop, but I'm limited. I gotta kind of keep it the way it
And
is.
what's that on the bottom?
Let me, that's, it's like-
Only at Pro Stunt Video do you get this. You don't see this
Yeah, so
in
it's
magazines.
Large pizzas.
Well, what are those
Name
pies,
is
Joe?
Adams, A-D-A-M-S. And one plain and one pepperoni. Okay, thanks.
Ah, Chinese.
Yeah, it's pretty cool in there too.
Hey, look at this. Turn that air on. I love it. Hey, you into the Oriental furniture scene?
Yeah, that's my wife.
Watch, oh, check this out.
You ever seen Guardian of the Dollhouse?
Only on Pro Stunt Videos do you get to see the way people live. Poverty's a bitch, isn't it? Beautiful house, unbelievable.
Yeah, the mother of pearl kind
But
of.
this is the main thing. The world's first look at Spitfires.
Hey.
Oh my
Gina's
God,
watching
look at
that,
this.
Wendy. Gina is watching over this project.
This is Gina, by the way. Anybody doesn't know, let's get Gina on the Spitfire video. Gina, hello. Woo! Oh, I can't even go hear her. Anyway, Spitfires. Oh my, I have the same picture in my room. Look at this.
My workshop is like a closet compared to what you guys work in.
You kidding? I work in my living room on a table. I have no work room.
This is nice. What are these? The
That's my souvenir airplanes. This is my 1990 Nance airplane.
wow.
And that's what I like to do.
I remember.
If you're going to keep them, you keep parts of them. And then this
I
is,
thought you were going into a vasectomy clinic or something. Look at this. Holy crap.
this is one of my turkey airplanes, but it had an elliptical wing, and that's what got me started.
Yeah, I hear you.
So that's all right. I hope I don't collect anymore. It's like,
This, by the way, is a great idea. Now, see, Joe has his compressor and switch up here, but the compressor is actually in a cellar, so you don't hear all that noise and get headaches and stuff. Look at these Spitfire plans.
yeah.
You don't think these are going to be the Spitfires from hell?
So you
Forget
were
about it.
talking about a nice fillet in here, and that's.
Oh,
When we
yeah.
get into talking strategies on flaps and that.
Yeah.
it's,
You notice what a low aspect ratio to tail is on a Spitfire? That's something we got to take into
Yeah.
consideration. Low aspect.
They'll be. Well, let me lay that out for you.
Oh!
We got time.
What do you think, Jim?
Okay, now here's where I keep my TV. I can't watch any tapes on this, but I have a little TV, a little couple things. Not much. Razor blades and sandpaper, and that's.
Yeah, there's not much to this. It's workmanship,
And then what I
craftsmanship.
do is I put my exhaust fan in this window.
You can spray it. Look, one Spitfire wing is already
yeah,
sheeted.
That's what.
Oh,
Yeah, this is the wing.
hope you're taking plenty of still photos of this.
Yeah, I did. I took some. I'll show you. 8 ounces.
8? It's too heavy. You better give it to me.
And
right now. Oh man, Spitfire.
so you guys can scope these things out. Now some of these fits in these joints. All that's going to be. This is just. I'll splice in a piece and. But I try to follow all the pro stunt techniques on
Oh, you better. Yeah, that's the way to success in life.
Is that Android in the glue gun? You said?
There's the rod still in the wing.
I use some CA on this.
The Ambroid's a lot lighter than CA, that's for sure.
But it makes it, the Ambroid's easy to, I like it, plus it's like part of being the old breed stuff,
Yeah, that's right.
But see, this is set up, I got the, the hard, it's nothing is epoxied in, but, this should just give you an idea how the
Yeah,
stuff will be. So
yeah.
look, why don't you guys look these things over, make yourself comfortable. If you wanna,
Back them pan up, I'll show you how to make yourself.
I got Diet Coke and a little refrigerator, help yourself if you want.
You're gonna get pie, okay?
I'm gonna go get the pies and I'll be back in
Awesome.
15 minutes. This is like at the right time, so.
This is
I'll
the
be right back.
Spitfire wing on the jigs.
Why would you park that?
That's a good point.
I'll tell you what, Jim, if you could just move it
Well,
over,
I left it right by the battery pack down there.
if you
Okay.
just move it over to the next lane. All right, I'll be right back.
Spitfire.
Yeah, so things that I want you to, like, how much a radius do we want on this, and I'll get all kind of other stuff to show you. but-
Plenty of radius, you never have too much radius. I noticed out there, I just showed him this before anybody, the way he got the bend in this by taking a lot, let's get this up on a macro lens. A lot of little saw cuts in there.
And then this all gets relieved. If you look inside the wing, you can see where I cut I cut out all this extra material, so there's no extra weight in this thing.
Yeah, 8 ounces is a good weight. Good, it's got the bell crank in it too.
And that's with, just an average kind of deal. The other one should be the same or lighter. Yeah, be right back.
Now, while Joe's gone for the pie, we're gonna shoplift all his 60s. Try to get some of these little ideas, and again, you can always use ideas. This, by the way, is an excellent idea. I used to have one of these to hold the tape, so you don't need 2 hands to pick the tape up. An excellent idea. Of course, somebody borrowed it, never gave it back. We still haven't found the radial arm saw. Somebody borrowed that, didn't give it back. I don't know about this saving the tail stuff. Maybe, maybe not. Anyway. Spitfires. Unbelievable. Keep in mind, there's 13 or 12 or 13 different kinds of Spitfires. Notice this one has a bubble canopy, but they all have things in common. The wingtip, the elliptical wing, the large fillets, which we're going to try to incorporate, a low aspect tail, which seems to work well in stunt. No fillets in the back. There'll be plenty of room for the Ray Brother linkage. Plenty of just the exhaust. That's just one of the must-dos. Tail wheel detail. Anyway, we're really looking forward to this project. This will probably be one of our best building seasons of all time. Uh-oh, can't have that. Your official Joe Adamusco elliptical pies.
Hey, sure you need a glass?
Nah.
And I'll get some paper towels for napkins.
Yum.
An old lab,
And this is a nice little tip I just put on this video here. Joe has the clamp that hold the rods from going up and down with a set screw, so this can come apart like a clamshell, holding the rods in place. Also, this is all on a ring construction video. Same thing with the wood blocks. Good way to hold the rods, and that is rock solid. It's on, what is this, 1/2-inch glass, Joe?
3/8, I think.
3/8 glass, which is on hardwood, which is on a door.
And I shimmed the center, you shim the glass. So
Yep, oh yeah, yep.
And that's where the starting point. Now, let me show you the mother of all straight edges. And to me, this is one of the most important tools that I use for doing all kinds of things. Cutting your sheeting straight.
Yeah.
This is a 48-inch Stair Roller, okay? And when I chew up that glass, I'll put this straight edge down there, and I can see that this black is not level. And I'll use that as my edge to...
I think Scott has the same thing, the big heavy duty.
And another thing, when you go to cut sheeting, this...
the weight holds it in place.
Yeah, the weight. Like here's a piece of sheeting right there. The weight holds it in place like so. What I like to use is a single edge razor. The weight of this holds it down. You get enough of a flat surface for this 1/4-inch thickness. You could take that razor.
It holds it at a 90-degree knife.
You just keep it right against the side. And believe me, you can get a funny piece of wood, but I mean, that gives you a dynamite straight line, and you can get good glue joints, and your things are straight.
Now, who makes that ruler? Is that a commercial?
It's a Stair company, the same company that makes micrometers, measuring instruments.
Okay, it's a machinist tool.
Yes, but it's the right size. Another for doing smaller sheeting work, this is a blade off a woodworking machine, a joiner, but it's a big mom. It's like a 22-inch joiner blade. And I dulled this down so you wouldn't cut yourself, but again, it's a nice straight edge, and for like smaller pieces of machinery. So the combination of these two, these are the ones that I use to, the other things like plastic rulers or sheet metal rulers.
Yeah, aluminum rulers.
No, it's not
Plywood
the same, it
rulers.
doesn't work.
No, that's for sure.
Okay, now, as you can see by the way the wing is framed out here, that one of the first steps you got to do is to, and I guess I explained this to some extent in the little write-ups that I did for the circle burgers and so forth.
And by the way, that's excellent. Those things, I've been passing them out. They're excellent.
But just to prove to you that I had trouble counting, like number of loops and laps and all this.
We had that.
So when I was counting the ribs for this, I don't know, I calculated to make like an 84-inch wingspan wing or something, and I made too damn many. But just to show you, look at all these R1 ribs left. So, hey Jim, you want to build a...
Well, you got half of a Spitfire here extra.
All right, so what I did was I took a blanket balsa and I tried to pick the good quarter grain wood, best I could, lightweight 6-pound wood. And I took a photocopy, Xerox copy of the rib outline, and I used the artist spray trim adhesive, which is...
It's like 3M cement.
Yeah, except it's what they spray mount. You can
Yeah.
peel it off. It doesn't stick forever, but it stays on long enough. Just to show you
That you can get the cuts.
how it works, it does peel right off.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't ruin the wood, doesn't leave a lot of extra heavy adhesive on there. So then what happens is after you accurately laid out rib blanks or plan forms, you take your razor. I always try to just cut so that I'm within like a 32nd of my pencil line on the drawing. And then I like to sand.
Block sand.
Use just a block sand to get it to dimension. And then what I do, I lay out, I know where my rod holes are going to be. I'll take that piece of 3/8 tubing, and you got to make sure, at least on this, when you're not gang drilling, a stack of ribs at one time, you got to make sure that you do a very accurate layout. So I take a circle guide. Maybe I could just show you a second. Hang on.
You make up a template so all the ribs are, the holes are in alignment?
Well, yes and no, but I'll show you what I don't make one up. What I use for a template. That's a circle guide.
I did. I made up a plywood template
With 2 holes in
with the
it.
2 holes, and then I reference off the trailing edge and just go forward.
Here's my tubing with the sharpened edge. With a couple little curve cuts in either side.
Couple of teeth, yeah.
Then I put a piece of friction tape on there just so it gives you something to spin your fingers with. So what I would do is, I know this is going to be 3/8, okay? So what I'll do is I'll just line the 3/8 hole up in this circle guide right on a bomb site, but this is why it's important to have accurate laid out.
Right. You're getting the center line and referencing.
And then using this, the guide you won't stray too far off center, and then you get her going and you punch it through. Then you get it takes time to do this. But we have a lot of time because that's what stunt means, time and patience, and that's how you get something that's worthwhile.
You bet.
Okay? So here's the rib templates that I removed from these ribs and the ribs on the other wing.
And obviously you can use them over and over again.
You can, sure.
Some amount of times.
Yeah, you could, because, if you don't destroy them, you could glue them back down. You save yourself a lot of this cutout work. But then after you get your holes cut, then you'll cut your openings, the wood that you don't need, you're going to have to remove eventually. You only need that web to support the rib on the rod, okay? Then the last operation I do, which, since I didn't use these ribs, I didn't cut them out, but I could show you how we would do that. Again, you want to use a straight edge. In this case, I like to use this shorter unit here. And get it right on the line. It's important to try to have a 90-degree angle. Make a couple of cuts through that way.
Now, another thing that might be worth mentioning, the reason, at least I didn't, even consider using, like in the old days on a Nobler, they used 1/4-inch leading edges, is you can't get enough of a radius in the front. You start eating into where the sheeting is.
That's the reason I used 1/2 inch.
Yeah, and this kind of a deal, you really want to have some meat up there, so you can get a decent leading edge radius.
Okay, now the way this wing was set up, the root rib, which is a Pattern Master R1.
Yeah, let's mention that. What we did here, let Joe confirm it.
Okay.
We wanted this plane to be a Pattern Master. We know there's hundreds of Pattern Masters that have been built, and we know they fly well right up to 80 ounces. You can put a nice finish on them and a decent nose construction. They have good longevity. And we wanted this to be a pattern master, but with an elliptical wing. So we did a lot of, at least Joe did a lot of calculation, figuring out the square inch area and all the other numbers that mean it won't be that much different than a PM when it's flying. And I guess the living proof is the Stuntress. That kind of flies real well, just the way it is. So again, it's not like we're inventing something here that has never been done before. We want to stay in the boundaries of what a pattern master is, the thick wing, 25% airfoil, and probably enough of a wing that it'll carry to finish.
Okay, so the way the wing is laid out, it has the PM root rib. It's got 4 R1 ribs. I have 2 centered in here pretty close just to give me a little more stiffness right in the center of the wing. So there's 2 R1s here and then 2 more R1s, so that's 4. Then the rib takes on a foreshortened contour because your elliptical or the curved shape actually begins at the R2 rib position.
Yeah, the part that goes through the body doesn't have a curve to it.
So in essence, it's straight for about 6.5 inches on each side of the center line of the wing. And then at R2, it cuts in a little bit, R3 slightly, R4, R5, and this is a fairly close curvature to the actual Spitfire curvature of the wing. Some modification to get, enough room for lead-out clearances so it look like it's going to work here. And then there's a certain amount of drop or curve till you get to the R6 rib, then you have a pretty drastic curve getting out here towards the tip, R7, R8, and R9. And then once you have all your ribs cut, notched, the holes for the rods cut, and you verify that your trailing edges are the right thickness. In this case, I took a piece of 1/4 inch square and tapered it to exactly 1/8 of an inch on center line. And that 1/4 inch will match up exactly with the 1/4 inch dimension on the back of the rib. This is very important in alignment. So then you have all your ribs laid out, and then you start to push R9, R8, R7, R6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1 on this half the wing panel. You kind of spread them out. And then you add the corresponding R1, R1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to the opposite end of the wing panel. Of course, being careful that you don't, drop the blocks off the edge of the building surface and so forth. And then once you get it lined up, and you got a jockey around. I use a little, I guess you call it a right angle or a tri-square, but out of a block of wood that I sanded, and that's what I would use to make sure that my rib is positioned. Let's see, maybe this would be a better. I kind of put it down right on a flat surface and line it up with the edge of the drawing, and that's where my rib, vertical position. So I know it's there, and I would shift these ribs around till they matched exactly the plan form that was drawn for the wing. Okay, so the ribs are straight vertically and straight horizontally. And then in the meantime, once I get that really close, I use CA to tack glue down the wood rod jig block support on either end. And then the center block, that's tack glued onto the glass. And you can see I had to cut away a little bit of my paper. Plan form just to make sure that I was getting the glass surface in there, but that's what I would use to align the ribs. And actually when this top of the wing gets planked and turned over, I'll take the plan form away because you don't need it anymore. Okay, then the next step in the process would be, once you have your ribs aligned, then you want to make sure that your trailing edge goes on first. Okay, because that's what you want to try to keep straight. This still needs a little adjustment here and there, which when I go to do the actual sheeting, well, you can see there's nothing holding anything here, but that's the basic frame. That's the plan form, and that's the volume that this airfoil, which is this wing, is going to contain. Then after this is, and I use CA to, like you can almost use that as welding material, weld that in position, get it stuck down.
Tack welded, yeah.
Tack welded in. Then I will do the leading edge. And where the butt joint is, like I have a butt joint for the trailing edge because that doesn't bother me too much. My sheeting is going to be covered at 45 degrees at the joint. That'll add a lot of strength. But instead of using a butt joint for the 1/2 inch square leading edge, I use the 45-degree angle so that I had more surface, bite, and every little bit of strength helps. And after you have that in, then you got to go through and verify, okay, everything, especially your tip rib, you want to make sure that that is perfectly vertical because you're going to be working with a block on the end of this. Ooh, I left out one step. After the trailing edge, you got to put these tip sweeps in. This is what makes an elliptical wing kind of unique, I guess you can say, is this tapered, curved trailing edge surface. And actually, let me show you. I got a jig block. I'll show you how I made that.
Beautiful workmanship, boy.
Okay, this outline represents the planform shape of the tip sweep. And I took a piece of 1/4 inch flat stock, laid it on here, and I knew that the thing that was going to be different here is that I was going to drop from a 1/4 inch trailing edge of my R7 rib to 3/16 for R8 and then 1/8 of an inch for R9. So that meant that this tip sweep block is not just tapered fore and aft, but it's tapered with the length of the wing. So I had to, just like you do if you're making a flap or something, I put these tapers on here where actually each tip sweep took 4 different setups or repositioning of this on the jig so I could sand it to get these tapers correct. Because I don't want to have any kind of weird curves, nothing. Everything. I want this to blend out, so when you're going to look at these wings on the end, they're going to be cut to perfect points. So again, it took some time to work to get the tip sweep shaped properly, okay? And I don't know that it makes much difference whether you use 1/4 grain or A or B grain, as long as
It can't hurt to be C grain, that's for sure.
And I use like some of each, as you can see here, but I added a gusset just to stiffen this up a little bit to make sure it's held in position. And if you look through this away, and I did have little measuring, a ruler. A ruler is a measuring device, right?
Last I heard.
So you would want to measure,
Front to back, front to back.
pointed leading edge here should be the
Right.
same dimensions as the center line on here.
Right down the center line of everything,
So
right?
that's how you got to have it straight there. So that takes a little bit of work, but then I discovered after making the first wing and sheeting it that, as I started getting the sheeting process, that this extra piece of material in the tip sweep really didn't perform any function. And there was no way that I was going to actually be able to get the wood to adhere or glue to that surface and still get a smooth contour. So this seemed to be the right place. That's the cutout. I marked my working drawing here so that on a finished drawing I'll correct that. Okay?
On the magazine plans, you don't...
Hey, whatever they're going to be. For somebody that wants to build
$100 bill. I'm sure Midley's going to build one, that's for sure.
So then after you get the tip sweeps in position and you measure 10 times before you tack them in, then you do the leading edge, and then I put the spars in. I put the bottom spar in first. And this is where making very accurate cuts with your notches on your rib blades. And if everything's lined up, and believe me, it lined up good on this, you just
drop right in.
Plug it right in, and I make sure I take whatever the spar material is going to be, 1/4 inch, and as I cut the openings in the rib, I trial fit each one. Yeah, it takes a lot of time.
It's a press fit, but not a slop fit.
That's right.
And not
So when it goes in, you
put it in.
put it in, you look at it from the front, you see that, okay, that's your setup.
Yeah, because this wing has quite a bow as it comes out to the tip in every dimension. Exotic
Okay,
looking.
so that's, then after you get all that locked in, you're ready to put sheeting on. And
Here's
this-
another thing, I don't want to leave this out, because we're going to do the gear blocks over at my shop. He doubled up, and it looks to me like you've got the grain
You
on.
got 1/4 grain down.
So this in effect is ball support, that really is solid. And we're going to make our custom gear blocks, of course, we're going to do it down by my shop.
Hey, Jimmy.
That'll be one day's project. Same way by the way, today while we were flying Strega, we had a really bumpy landing. Nothing happened to the gear doors, so just another vote of confidence here.
Okay. All right, next. Sheeting for the leading edge. This is what drove me crazy on all my wings, and I think I come up with a way to get these babies knocked down. Check these out. Pre-formed sheeting that when you go to glue dry with, using Ambroid, you can pull these babies right in.
Like clamshells.
Exactly. And this way I've got top and bottom, and I've got one more to form. And what I'd like to do is,
Want to form one on camera?
yes, do it on camera.
Sure.
And then the technique I use to hold, I try not to use any pins. Pins or, even for doing the molding process, which is something different. When it comes to glue these things down, let's just, as an example here, show you how we would get in if we were going to glue this down. I use Ambroid, and one of these, I guess you'd call it a 50cc syringe with a piece of 16th aluminum tubing in there. This really makes it easy. A little easy to bend. So what you'll do is you'll put cement on your spar. But before you do that, what I like to do is I'll take and I'll make a line on it. I know that I'm going to have a 1/4-inch spar to glue down here, and I'll have a 3/8 flat that's on this leading edge to this 1/2-inch square on this side. And I'll mark that off. The old use your pencil and make a drawing mark like this. And you want to put a coat of Ambroid on here and there. Smear it out. It could be thin. Let it dry. Because believe me, this helps.
Pre-glue it. Yep.
Pre-glue it. So after this surface is pre-glued, take your glue gun. You do have to work a little fast, and you have to get things set up, and that's where my tape dispenser comes in. Okay.
Yeah, I was mentioning that on the video before. That's
I take my glue gun here. I like to put at least a good 1.5 ounces of glue in. It takes about 2 tubes, 3.5 ounce or whatever these are, 3.2 ounce tubes to do a wing. So you got to make sure at least you have enough material to do one edge of sheeting. And what I'll do is I'll glue the spar, glue the leading edge, and you want to try to get a good coating of glue on top of your
Definitely on the gear blocks, yeah.
Yeah, and what'll happen, you could go back in and re-glue after this is over, but then what you do is you put this on, and since it's pre-formed, there's no struggling, all the grain is going in the right direction, but you want to kind of pre-fit and pre-cut to make sure it's going to be exactly where you want it. Then I'll use tape to tape, pull back, fold under the spar, hold it down. And
No pinholes.
if you do get something that gets a little crazy and you got to do one pin, that's okay, but you got to deal with these holes later, and you get better joints and nicer glue fittings, I think, without the pinhole.
Now, do you have the wing that you originally used for mold for these? You used it.
Well, no, see, I didn't. I'm going to show you. I tried to do that, and what I found, Wendy, was by taking a flat piece of balsa like this for the sheeting, okay, and trying to form it over the old elliptical wing I had, I would not get enough contour to make any difference.
Oh, so, okay, I got the picture.
Here's where the problem comes in, and you can see this right away, is how do you get this flat piece of material
And the right directions.
exactly? So you got to mold, and that's what I'm going to show you. I don't know whether you can say I invented anything, but it sure did make it easy, and I haven't struggled much since I discovered this. Okay, so what I did was, I got these little forming blocks, where I have one that's set up for my 9 rib, my 8 rib, my 7 rib, and so on, and so on. 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down. Of course, I got lazy and I only did 1 for an R1, but I found another curve that works okay, but I'll show you how this works. Now, the secret to this is that these blocks act as hold-down weights, and I also use them when I glue the sheeting on. But where they come in handy is when you get this piece of wood that's flat, that won't bend over anything, soaked in ammonia, you can use these blocks to hold it down in position. So that's what I'm about to demonstrate here.
And after it's soaked in ammonia, the wood is like,
Oh, it's like
pliable.
rubber.
It's like rubber, yeah. it is.
Exactly. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to make sure I have all my little blocks set up. You might want to, you don't have to run that. And I just said what I use for weights are 2-inch nuts. How much do you think a 2-inch nut weighs?
Drop one on your, oh my God.
Okay?
I suggest you use these to hold in your next
Yeah.
Super Tiger 60. Jim Greenaway, blind nuts. Oh, you
Yeah,
want to hear
just
this?
pull it up. Okay, so you want to get everything preset here so I don't have to fumble around. Not that the ammonia is going to disappear or go away and evaporate real fast, but just to show you how this works. And when you're going to glue the sheeting on, I use this same technique to hold down over the tape just to make sure that I'm getting that good.
You're getting a bond for the whole length, yeah.
And something else I want to mention here too, and I know you've shown this in other videos, Wendy, is the importance of using a nice sanded T-bar straight edge to just verify and make sure that all your...
Right, what you don't want to have is that a rib is either sticking up or down where there'd be a gap or a ripple, because the dope will shrink that right up. You want to have that smooth contour.
All right. R5, R6. I need 2 more nuts.
You got 2 in the room.
Hey, we're all nuts for airplane.
Hey. Believe me, there are a lot worse things you could be doing with your life than this. Holy mackerel. Look around you.
And then my 1 strange block, I'll use this one. Okay, now that I've got the deck set, I know this is the leading edge. It'll be the inboard top surface that I'm working with. As you can see, it's flat. And you know, on the very first wing, I tried to do one of these dry. Figured, I could do that because I did it on my... I did it dry on the Bucks Deluxe, I did it dry on the Stuntras, but it was 16 sheeting.
3/32, you moved it.
Yeah, so you go crazy, but it helps if you use 6-pound wood, at least. This piece is 5.5.
And you're trying to use A grain here, obviously.
Yes, A grain. So what I've been using is just clear ammonia, all purpose. And it won't stink this room up too bad, believe me.
Use it straight or glued?
No, straight. Whatever's in that block. Take a paper towel.
You only really have to wipe one side anyway.
But I get both sides.
Yeah. You'll see, it bends real quick with the ammonia.
Incredible.
The ammonia doesn't... Anybody's never done this, if you've never used ammonia in wood. Ammonia lets the wood cells, the ammonia loosens up the resin in the wood cells, and it turns it... You could make a pretzel out of a piece of wood.
Exactly. So you swab it down.
It's always good to do this just before you have guests coming to the house, but you want to leave real early.
Now
Get Uncle Jack and Aunt Betty out of the goddamn house with it. Get them out, what's that smell?
Open your sinuses up, that's one side.
Yeah, you got it.
Get a little more juice. Go in here.
What I did one time, I poured the ammonia into the bathtub, thinking I'd be so smart. Filled it with water so I could dip a whole wing in. And the cat almost died. I can smell it already.
Yeah, you can see the one area where it doesn't soak in is where I use thin CA to make a butt joint, because I needed actually 4.5-inch wide material here, but...
Yeah, and if you try to use a piece of sequin on this, forget about it. You want to open a window?
No, that's good. It's part of it.
Yes.
Okay, then what you find is, you find out how pliable this is. You can bend it.
Oh, yeah.
And I try to work it around a little bit here to...
Yeah, pre-bend it a little bit.
To get some contour to it, but it really softens it up immensely. And even though when you see how this is going to be molded, it will not be exactly the line of the straight edge that'll go down along the contour of the spar. All right, so we'll start about right there. I'll try to line it up with I'll take my R1. Put that in position, and these, well, however much these 2-inch nuts weigh.
You don't want to drop one on your big pinky toe or anything.
And then R4, I'll put right over the R4 section, and I'll show you how I shim them up a little bit to make up.
Now these just have the reverse curvature of the ribs
Reverse
for each rib, so they're kind of easy to make up.
And I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier on, but I'll tell you, so far it seems like it's working out.
Einstein didn't figure this out in one day either, Joe. It takes time.
But you can see, if you didn't have a rigid setup on the rods and
If
stuff.
you're building this in your lap, forget it.
And once I get them on here, then I'll jog them around and align them exactly how I want to make sure everything is...
Yeah, you have some variation here. I see you working from the middle out to the tip.
Yep.
And there's really no need to even hot stuff the nuts in place, even though you could.
I could.
Because they got a little bit of a thread catching on that ball, so
And one on the end, this, the airfoil shaped here is a lot tighter to the rib contour than the others. And that kind of seals the whole thing down, but okay, now, I want to center these, and I'll tell you, and this is one of the biggest stumbling blocks in building the elliptical wing, is getting the sheeting to contour. And this is really simple, I'll tell you, it comes so close once it's dry. It takes about an hour and a half, at least under these conditions I have in this shop, or bedroom, or whatever you want to call this little place, to settle down. Now, I've got some 16th sheeting that I cut the edges to little wedge-shaped
wedge, yeah, gotcha.
pieces.
Okay.
Okay, now what I'll do with this is I'll use them as little wedges to
You can shim it.
push under here, and
Just using as little, just like cedar shakes on a door to frame the door.
exactly, just to hold it down. And you got a lot of working time. It's not like you're working with glue, because it's going to stay pliable for quite a while. And if I was going to do this again, which I'm sure someday in the future I'll make another elliptical wing, what I'll do is I'll make more accurate units, but this seems to work for my purposes here. Put these little shims in.
How about an idea if you put on the bottom of this sandpaper, on the bottom of this, just a thought to make this even a better system, sticky back sandpaper.
See what I did? I didn't take into consideration my leading edge. That's where they made them too short.
You ended at the rib, is it?
Ended at the tip of the rib.
Okay.
Now that's where, if I would have made them longer.
Yeah.
But
Jimmy got, by the way, that mentioned that on the video, that sticky back sandpaper that we got rolls of. Man, you could just roll some on there, cut it 1 inch like masking tape, glue it right on. Then it couldn't, what I'm afraid of is somebody would walk by the table now, touch it with their ass, and be 52 pickup with the joint.
what do you think? Pretty?
Oh, awesome.
Huh?
Now, people out in video land, like I know Bob Martens for one, is a real aircraft engineer. I could really appreciate the amount of thought and energy that went into this. So give this Adamusco some credit. He's okay.
The thought and energy happened real quick when I was thrashing around trying to bend it. And then after I discovered that old elliptical wing that I had, and I'll get downstairs and get it, bring it up here so you can see what I'm talking about. It just wasn't working. And hey, this is what I enjoy about building, is you learn something new. And I learn from Wendy every year, something new comes up. And it's
Well, you learn from each other. No one person knows everything. Everybody knows something.
See, the little gaps that are in it, that is close enough, so when that... Use one in here. It's close enough. Now, using that technique to hold the leading edge sheeting down after you have it glued, you're going to have tape. It's going to be taped under here and holding this back.
Right. Or you can
And after you're done, then you put the weights on in that, make sure that each rib locks in. And then I'll go through and double glue. But that's how you form it, and really, I think it worked out great.
Unbelievably good idea. By the way, I got an idea, just thinking of something. This gave me an idea. I wonder if anybody out in video land has a way to make this better. If we made a top block out of 10-pound wood, and then you made these reverse kind of things out of, the reverse curve of the top block, which obviously you can do with a wood, the shaper with all the little pins. You know what I'm talking about? You could actually make a female mold of the top block. So that you could do this with the male mold and the female mold.
You can mold, yeah.
But you could mold top blocks. Once we had a final Spitfire top block, which obviously may or may not happen.
Hang on a sec, I'm going to get downstairs. I can squeeze through there, Jim, but I'm going to get that old wing.
Yeah, I saw it hiding on the shelf down there.
It's like a stick.
Is that the Norway wing?
Yeah, which I guess for a 35 airplane is okay, but what I found that there was no way that I was going to...
There's not enough airflow on it. Yeah. This is
simpler. You don't ruin the edges of your balsa.
Right. Even if you already have a fully sheeted elliptical, oh, this is really flimsy.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Scary. But you know what happens when you grab like one of these thin wings? You say, "Ooh, where's the
But
piece?"
this is where it started for me. And,
Yeah. That's not a pattern master wing, I can tell you right now.
and it had too many curves to it. In more ways than one. A lot of warps. But hey, I think these wings are going to work out. They're going to be straight.
Are these the tip blocks?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Tip block. And ultimately, these are 4 flaps. We're not going to use 1-inch flaps on these. I'm going to use. But there's your.
Oh, yeah.
There's the unit.
Spitfires. You got rid of topless bar here. Spitfire.
Okay, so that's
Spitfires.
how that's
Feel
going.
like a pervert. Yeah.
And that's why it's important to make sure that you got nice right angles when you glue that in. So when these.
Oh yeah, everything can't be all cockamamie out there. That's for sure.
And you know, it all gets shaped and tuned in and blended down and curved out. And initially, I'm going to taper this tip to be whatever this is, 1/4 inch, and then kind of work it down finer from there up to a center line. But that'll happen. I got a lot of work ahead of me before I get to that point. But yeah, we're getting to be there. So,
Made C's that have a 90-degree to the table and have the exact C. So as it clamped in,
right.
it would do the top, and you could also use it. You could just close spin on your.
Hey, the next time.
One, yeah, I know. No, but I mean one.
Next time, I can see it, you learn by doing.
One idea leads.
Said that or something.
One idea leads to the next idea. I'm already getting ideas for how to mold a top block or a bottom block from this. And if we really go crazy, you know what that.
If you need 2-inch nuts, I can get them for you.
You know what the ultimate would be if we could do it on this plane, because it'll be worth having too. Fiberglass cowling. Never would chip, dent, rust, or peel, you know.
And it's easy
Talk to Joe about making up a little mold with demo plaster, and we'll pour our own cowlings.
Okay, let's talk a couple minutes about what these flaps are going to look like. And this is essentially the flap outline that's on a drawing. I think the general curve, they're longer than we're going to need here, obviously, but.
Roughly same square inches as a PM.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, these will probably have a little fillet tip cut out on them someplace. We'll arrive at that later on. I decided not to build that into the blank wing because it just makes it harder to sheet and harder to establish and measure whether or not you really have a true, your wingtips are exactly straight. So what I did was scrounged around. It took a little bit of looking and discovery work and so forth, but I come up with 4 pretty good pieces of
C grain.
C grain.
C grain.
Yes. And
Now, did you run the grain parallel to the trailing edge or point to
just
point?
like
Point to point or trailing edge?
trailing edge. Well, see with elliptical, curve.
Yeah, it's not as critical. Yeah.
So I got the grain runs pretty much with the trailing edge of the curve here.
That looks like nice wood, boy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And we don't want them warped because they're going to be.
Well, by the way, there's a good idea what Joe is showing right now. If you're going to make identical parts and keep them from warping over the summer or winter or whatever,
Look at that.
let them. Oh my God! Literally eat your
Check
heart
this
out.
out.
That is nice.
And it's not 5-pound stock, it's 6-pound, but it's.
Yeah, by the way, that's another thing I mention over and over on the tapes is never try to get the lightest piece of wood for a flat. Get the straightest
Okay,
piece.
so 1/4 grain, these are not going to warp,
Now look at the grain in this.
and
Oh,
they will
man.
be tapered down. They're going to.
Spitfire. Look at that pebble. Pebble grain.
Basically, what I did was know what my plant form, oversized plant form is going to be. That is in length, not the curvature. And I got a piece of, I guess that's 3/4 white pine, and established my layout over top of the white pine, rough cut it out, sanded to the exact contour, okay, because this block is then going to become,
That's part of your jig.
that's going to be part of the sanding jig, where we know it's going to be a 1/4 inch flap, So these sanding units, and I'm gonna have to get some of the right size, will be push pinned on or nailed on at exactly 1/4 inch on one side. And then my other sanding strip will be positioned, and these are the ones you're gonna take a 1/16 off of one side. But when I do this, the 1/16 will come off 4 flaps. Then the jig gets rotated over. The 1/4 inch gets reestablished. The 1/16 gets reestablished, then you do the 4 flaps, 1/16 off of that taper. And it takes time and sanding, but they're gonna be nuts on perfect.
Right, if you do it all at once, you build in a warp.
That's right, exactly. Which, you know, I learned that the hard way, and
Well, that's the only way you can learn.
That's
Who's
right,
gonna
so-
teach you this stuff, Einstein? Yeah.
So that's how the flaps will be shaped, but that'll come after this wing's sheeted, and the tips are kind of sanded out to some, you know, dimension or contour, but made a little progress here, buddy.
Wow, I'm
You
impressed.
know, and
I'm impressed.
I know this whole project's
And
gonna,
I know in one day at my house, we can get the gear blocks in both wings, the wires bent,
don't worry, I'll be pissed.
Whoa, the pizza cooked, all the important things.
Yeah, this has come so darn far, you know.
I believe in getting off to a good start. Now, see, this is one of the things I had this blanket time to use in the month
Right,
of July
right.
because of other things that were going on with me, but, so I took advantage of it. And actually in April, I started, you know, doing rib outlines and working on some things. And
Well, and I just want to mention one other thing on tape. If anybody out there is contemplating building a Spitfire and they want information or some ideas or some inspiration, just give Joe a call, drop him a letter. We're already corresponding with, what's the guy's name in England?
Roger Lads.
Okay, I'm corresponding with him too, and there's got a letter from a guy in Australia with a Spitfire postcard. He knew I was building a Spitfire, so get somebody interested in this. We'll make an interplanetary deal out of
Well, it doesn't have to be a
it.
Spitfire, it can be any of
Yeah,
them.
or if you wanted to make
Put a Spitfire when you win the airplane.
And when you're all done, I mean, you're not doing this for nothing. When you're all done, it's a Spitfire.
There, did you see these pictures? Inspiration. Well, look at my wood shop, James. All I see is the wood. And I've got, which is my #1 main tool, and I'll show you that.
Joe, just offhand, there's 18 or 19 different Spitfire models. How many are there altogether?
Exactly.
18?
24.
24, okay, so we could really have a large choice of,
24 variants.
oh my God, 24. I thought there was only 12 or something. Shows you what I know.
Right.
You know, Billy Lowridge building semi-scale now, and other people I know building semi-scale. There's a good chance you could even win the concourse with the Spitfire.
That window, you don't have central iron here. I still have dial telephones too, you know. And no computer.
No computer, keep it that way.
Dial telephones and a window air conditioner.
Well, they're all yellow on the bottom.
Yeah, one of the variants, I'm going to show it next, is all yellow on the bottom. Why would that make an awesome paint job?
Oh, why was I see that?
This is the paint job I like with the yellow on the bottom. Little radiators by the wheels.
Brockway Truck International.
Brockway truck yellow. We only have about 4 gallons of that down in the shop. Oh, I love it. We got these pictures from England, by the way.
There's,
Yeah, that's just
they look so cool with the D-Day stripes on them.
Yeah, you gotta have D-Day stripes. Walker Cup stripes.
But again, like how accurate do you want to get? Like
Yeah, this is not a scale model. We're not making a scale. We're not entering scale. We want to make it that's cool.
D-Day stripes, who
you can
cares?
put everything on. It doesn't matter. Because
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think he sent me the same the scoop on this thing. Did you see the scoop on this, Joe?
yeah, that was what they call a tropical air filter. When they flew these things in North Africa and places where they, in Italy, where there was a lot of dust in the environment.
Oh, no, they
Rather
it all out of the
you
engine.
heat the engines up with, you know, you suck that dirt in, which we know.
Yeah, we know from flying.
See the shape of this stab
Yeah.
as compared to the shape of the stab on one of the
Yeah, it's a
earlier.
lower aspect ratio, yeah.
This This is what I think we ought to use, and that's why,
Let's see what you came up with as far as the stab shape,
Yeah.
so forth.
Well, you want to see it?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I haven't, it's not full-size drawing. That'll happen,
He files it away on the S for Spitfire. Look at this guy, S for
yeah, I'm looking at
Supermarine Spitfire. Oh.
Supermarine project.
And we're not into this too much, are we, Joe?
That's where it goes.
Keeps the dust down by the floor.
Keeps it down low, and you
Yeah.
used to have a little shop back in here, and I clean it up because my wife's in the bedroom or in the living room or something like that, and I have to do a super job of dust control. And I know you read your article in the Aircraft Modeler.
Oh, I go crazy breathing that
See,
stuff
I
all day.
wouldn't have room for a setup like that, but
Well, you don't have to have this one.
you know what I did? I wanted a 10-inch disc. For years I've been working with little 6-inch little ding-dong things, and you can't get enough nice wire
Yeah.
setting, so I found a cheap, made in Taiwan unit. And I
Who
put
makes
it-
this? Sears Roller?
I don't even know what I did is I took it and I hacksawed all the extra junk and stuff I didn't want. I cut it all off, even got rid of the switch. I want to turn this thing on, I plug it in. It's a little bit like your sander.
Yeah.
But it's heavy,
UL
you
rated.
got a lot of
Plug it in and unplug it when you want it.
Believe me, that nice table here.
Yeah.
I can, here's a simple thing, like if I want to make a right angle cut on something, what I'll do
There's a
is
little demo on it here.
I don't want to grind.
Good for doing your toenails, too. Your toenails get long, you shove your
What I'll
foot in
do
there.
is that I'll put this on, and I'll put a piece of index card stock behind it as a shim, and I'll tape this down on the thing.
Right,
Then I'll just run my wood up against it.
and you got 90.
You know, you don't have to have this iron box, all this sophisticated, because it's still basically razor blades and sandpaper. But this really helps you get nice, clean, like these 45-degree joints. Sanded those, I got those perfect. That's the one tool that,
I heard a good saying, George was telling me about, he watched the show about Michelangelo. Said Michelangelo had a hammer and a chisel. And that was it.
that's right.
No other tools.
But not a lot of extra, yeah.
Even the closet is
You want to
nice.
see some more Spitfires?
Spitfire. Getting sick of saying it, I feel like a crazy man. Oh, this book, yeah, I've seen this book. Oh my God, give me this book. I'll take it home. You knew my birthday was next week, right? Hey, anybody out there like to buy me this book for my birthday? It's $110.
One of our, Jim, did you ever see this one?
This really is worth it.
This is the trip.
This is the book of books, if you like this kind of nonsense. Whip it out to the Spitfire. There's a picture of a Spitfire wing in here.
Is this Jane's World Aircraft?
No,
This is the best book I've ever
the
seen.
great book of World War II airplanes.
Spitfire.
What Wendy's talking about is this pull-out right here.
There's a pull-out. There's like a half of a Spitfire wing or something. Look at this. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, that's where you got the plans from.
Look at this wing. I mean,
Look at the machine guns, hey, the
yeah,
cannons.
it almost feel
We
legal.
could put ammo belts and everything in if you really want to get
man.
into it, but there hasn't been another airplane like it. That's what's so unique, that curve.
Spitfire, yeah.
And they were super maneuverable, under 20. Side squares, bam, bam, you know, it'd be something nice to look at. See the DWK squadron.
See, here's what we gotta work on, finding some scalish looking wheels like that. Now, this'll have to say J, W,
Well, J and A for me. And yours could be
Yeah.
WWU or what, I don't know. What.
Wendy's videos.
PSP.
Let's see, there.
Wendy's dumb
Hey, now,
videos.
now, if you really want to get into it,
Oh,
you can really get into it here.
oh my God.
And you study the way they built
Yeah,
this was a tremendous wing because they were able to put more different kinds of armament in it and had space for ammo, and the wing was rigid
It
enough
really
that
is
it could take
worthwhile,
all these
believe me.
guns. That's why it was a Spitfire, man. It had a lot of firepower.
We're really sick.
This is like, this is our real world.
13.6 rev up, Brian Ether 3 blade, Bolly 4 blade, the Forget It 10 blade here, or 25. Oh, give me a break.
The Randy Smith counter-rotating six-blade.
Oh, no. Merlin engines, Griffins.
Hey,
Oh, oh. Big wheel pants, Michelin wheel pants, yeah.
but see, this is what's interesting here. Even though this has that Mark 21, 24 wing, it wasn't the...
Yeah, it's the clip tips, yeah.
It's got the Griffin, it's got the bubble. Look at the paint scheme, the yellow here, the roundels, the red, white, and blue, the whatever kind of stripes they are. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that neat?
Gotta have invasion stripes.
Hey, what
Even if they're not
blue tip?
invade Poland, you know, anything.
There, it almost spelled. He is, and
Yeah, there's the naval version with the Griffin with the counter-rotating, the resting hook. Could even fly this in Dave's carrier event.
and even I looked this number up. This is a crowbar, I guess, if the pilot landed funny or needed some help getting
tire or something.
Yeah, probably to more or less pry the airplane off him some. The Spitfire pilots that were like on whatever their Sunday activities were
Yeah.
to keep current on it, they loved to take these things up and just buzz around all over English
yeah.
airspace doing stuff.
Great book, by the way. Anybody has never seen his
Yeah.
book,
Jim, you want
buy it for me.
No, I
Awesome.
wouldn't want to have it.
Now, as we finish this exciting, this has been an unbelievable day with Joe. One of the things for sure is we want to, before we leave, get all his Air Force on video here. He's taking the planes out of Iraq one by one. Ah, look at his face. Put it right in the van, Jimmy. Don't even. Hey, Joe, by the way, if you happen to, you don't feel so healthy, you feel like you're going to die, my address is 93 Elliott, and people would think I built this.
I don't know.
Cardinals. Oh, man.
You got a good hand free? No, that's not
No, you better put that right in Jimmy's van right
It's not
now.
major.
Oh,
Hey,
man.
what this is
Give me a little show and tell here.
that's a Cardinal. That's your 80, whatever your
Yeah.
Cardinal.
89 Cardinal.
Big bopper. It's a twin brother to my yellow and black Cardinal. The only difference is that I moved the rudder back enough to give me a wiggly.
Right, the little wiggle
It's
jiggle.
got, the same kind of setup with the, kind of a flattened off block. Heavy duty front end. I don't have what the hell do you call them now? You call them blisters or those little fillet?
Yeah, valve covers.
I didn't put those on, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to paint it. Last year I tried to finish 2 airplanes in 1 year. Mr. Awesome, and maybe I'll do it this way. I'll put this one down and I'll put the Cardinal right in front of it.
Yeah.
And it started driving me a little crazy because, with the sanding of silver and all that, it gets to you after a while. And so I decided...
Hey, football season starts Sunday. You better start sanding, Football and sanding go hand in hand.
So
Now, these are the twins.
They're twins, except for the wiggly rudder feature. And,
Yeah, I think
of
you're
course,
better off with the wiggly rudder.
landing gear. But my plan is to eventually finish it. And it's really, I just have to sand off that silver that's around the fillets. I got one piece of hanger rash on one of the elevators where I dinged something into it. Fix that, but just have to come up with a paint scheme. I would like to do that one red, because I never had a red airplane.
I wish I could see
But if it happens, it happens.
400 red airplanes in my life. Mr. Red.
Well, I have nothing. I mean, it's not a tank, but it's got the same wing as this Cardinal and the other Cardinal, except it's got the kind of the stuntress look. Now, this has a geodetic stab on it, Wendy,
Yeah.
and wiggly rudder.
That looks over half-inch thick though, right? Or just half?
That's 5/8.
Yeah.
What happens as you make the stab thicker and thicker, it blankets the elevators. That's the part, you really don't want to make it any thicker.
Because I
than
think
that.
I had a real good half-inch
And-
spot.
Right, and you sheeted it on each side with 16.
A little squeaky, but, and, I'm pretty sure this airplane will fly okay. It's just a matter of, doing it.
John's got a whole bunch of SIG contest half-inch A-grain in stock right now, half 36. And I got a couple of pieces of 1/2x4. Real light stuff. I hope people
Who's
don't buy
John?
it. John Misk.
John Misk.
nice if you're gonna make a stab outline, make it
Yeah,
better
there's
stab.
no, probably people are buying from him to make profile fuselages.
Yeah, right.
Just for that. But damn, it's pretty stuff, That nice white, super white balsa, real powdery, dead A grain, you can hardly see the A. For stabs and elevators and that kind of stuff.
So we'll see how this guy flies. Obviously, the only thing that's gonna fly this thing's a 60, which is okay with me.
Oh, yeah, don't even waste your time with those.
I mean, this is like ace in a hole airplane. If I need it, I can do something with it.
We could get this trimmed in one afternoon. You don't even have to be there, just give it to me. Give me a gallon of fuel and some tip weight and stuff.
We already got the little slot machine.
Yeah.
Put a 60 in that, too.
Yeah, you get that set up. I gotta do the controls on this again. But this is what started me on the old elliptical wing kit. And I thought, well, hey, someday it'd be nice to build a big 60-size box with a, the Spitfire PM kind of wing, and maybe that'll still happen. But then maybe there'll be something entirely new and different that gets you excited. But
No, I'm pretty excited about the Spitfires.
Yeah,
You did a good job of ruining my summer,
yeah. But that's the fun, I think, is getting
Oh, for
excited
sure.
and turned on to different kind of a, try it. And, and it's going to work because of the kind of...
You can tell as we're getting ready to leave Joe's, we're in the middle of it was like we're gonna have a thunderstorm or something. Jimmy's getting directions now, and thank Joe for a really nice visit. Hope you enjoyed it. You did? Hey, Joe's a cool guy. Where's that mailbox? I had to get this on the video. Jimmy ran over Joe's over his drain pipe and made a tuned pipe out of it. What a guy. Anyway, beautiful neighborhood, beautiful everything, great day. Had a lot of fun. Home again, jiggity jig. Now, believe it or not, I get back from Joe Adamusco's, and they're having a 50th surprise birthday party for me here. Can you believe this? Everybody who's who in the world of stunt is here. Look at these guys. They're riding my motorcycle. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, ah! Look, who's who in the world of stunt? Mike Rogers. Hey. Say hello, hey. Carlos Serra, Mrs. Carlos. Holy mackerel. Look at this. Look at it, airplanes on every table, balloons on every table. Naked women everywhere. Oh, Jim Davenell. Mrs. Stifle. Oh my God.
You know what? Catch us next summer on the inside.
My mother never appears on these videos. This is my mother. Wave to the camera. Tell them what a great son I've been all my life. Now, how can I be such a bad guy? I mean, I'm a good guy.
Cameras. I'd like to take some pictures now.
It's going to be dark soon. You better take something. Frank Straub, one of my wealthiest friends. George Ventrini, the king of artwork. Awesome man. Awesome man. Did you ever see that video where he's awesome man? Oh, we have plenty of tape on that. Jeff Stifle, Jim Borelli, Peggy Ortiz, Joe Ortiz. Consuming. Notice Peggy's still in her back place. Joe Adamusco, who wined and dined me and kept this party a secret from me all day. What a guy. What a guy. Great surprise party. Nice video. Look at these guys. Look, Pro Stunt Products on his t-shirt. Randy Smith, eat your heart out. Look at that. Look at that wagon. And we had just a super unbelievable party. I don't know, I didn't get much footage, but really was a surprise. And believe me, one of the presents I got from Mike Rogers was a Super Tiger 60. I can't even list the presents, there's so many.
I got a thing from the New York Times with a real copy of the Times the day I was born. Really neat. Anyway, what I want to go over here a little bit, and this is something maybe, and I'm sure this is information you can use, because I've been working on this for a long time, and I finally got this down to where I feel comfortable putting it on a tape. One of the things we had with this plane at the Nats, we had Mike Rogers trim it out into a relatively nose-heavy trim configuration with a lot of other things. A large handle, was relatively nose-heavy, and in that situation, relatively big diameter prop. Now what we've done is, since we've come back from the Nats, we've gone to a smaller diameter prop, tail weight, which you can see we've buried some of the tail weight inside the fuselage. Again, the scenario of how to do this and what the result is. I think I ought to put it on a piece of paper. But it's something, well, I will put it on a paper. It's something I'm sure you'll use somewhere in your career. Don't throw this tape away. When you have a ship, and this is the situation we had, and one of the things you want is more corner. There's a lot of different ways to go about getting more corner, but I don't even know the right way to start this. Let's pretend we had this typical Nobler rather than using Strega. Nobler seems like a more appropriate way of doing this. You have a plane, and one of the things, the plane flies real good, and you've done just about all you can to get the CG where the plans call for, various other things. But now what you want to have is you want to have that situation of more corner. Well, these are the things that you should try to do to get more corner. Number one, the center of gravity, and this is let's go in reverse order of significance. The center of gravity, the point at which the plane balances, the CG is the most significant thing. Moving the CG back even 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, and an inch, I would say that's the usable range. I don't think many planes have a range much more than 1 inch. Now what'll happen is, we started out at the Nats, we were about as nose heavy, and you could go back and see Mike's dissertation. We were relatively nose heavy, relatively big diameter prop, full 13 1/8 inch prop, okay, and a very large handle, very large. It was about 5.5 inches, I believe. Okay, now this combination of a big diameter prop, relatively nose heavy CG, and a large handle, the result of this will make it a little easier to figure out. The combination of these three things, the spread of the handle is the significant thing. This combination of things results in tremendous stability. The plane is very easy to fly, and I think if you go back and look at the Nats flights, you'll see I didn't miss a whole lot of bottoms or turns. But one of the things, it seems like judges in our modern era, or whatever you want to call it, are more impressed by a dramatic corner, maybe at some trade to geometry, than they are with tremendous stability and accuracy. So one of the things we're going to try to do, we're going to try to change the trim of the plane, and we've been doing this in an ongoing way, and I like to go through this, because you can apply this not only to Strega or Nobler or Thunderbird. Every single plane can be retrimmed in a way that will result in more corner, but the trade-off will be the plane will get more difficult to fly. Now the logical sequence, I would say, of trim changes to try is, if you're starting with the system that we basically had, the nose heavy, big handle, big prop, the first thing to do is to get the CG back. Now I would be doing this by putting solder on a tail wheel or taking nose weight out. Try to move the CG back in 1/8 inch increments, because even an 1/8 inch is going to be tremendous. At some point in time, the plane will be real comfortable, easy to fly. It'll get, oh man, it's getting touchy, hard to fly in inverted flight. Now it's getting impossible to fly. Now you're getting to the point where, wow, this is dangerous. I can't keep any bottoms or anything. I can't keep my geometry. Now it's at this point in time that you go to step 2. And the step 2 would be make the handle smaller. If assuming you're way out on a handle, move the handle in a little bit. Smaller handle. Now, the 3 here that I'm talking about, and these 3 all work in conjunction with each other, and the third is, at this point in time, you're going to be using less flap and elevator deflection with a small handle. It'll take less power to turn the plane. It'll also take less power to fly the plane, so you can go down to a smaller prop diameter. Now, never forget, these 3 all work in conjunction with each other. In other words, the way you want to approach this is take your typical Nobler, your typical any plane, move the CG back, and let's just assume it has no nose weight in it. Or whatever, some way you can put a lighter spinner on it. You move the CG back 1/8 of an inch. The plane is going to turn tighter. You may not have to do these 2. You may be happy with the way the plane is flying right here. You may say, wow, that's about as hard as I want to turn the plane. But, hey, you want to get expert level, slam dunk kind of turn, you're going to need the CG further and further back. At some point in time, it's going to be almost impossible to fly the plane, at which point you're going to want to make the handle smaller, 1 increment at a time. And at the same time, you're using less and less power. You're going to be able to get away with a smaller diameter prop. Now, we've gone down as low as, we have a 12 1/4 on the plane now. At the Nats, we had a 13 1/8. We've been down to 12. 12 seems like it's on the verge of getting wimpy, and at 11 7/8, it gets wimpy. And when it gets wimpy, what it means is the only time where this prop would be usable would be in really, really good air. This diameter, these are the same props, 14.5 rev ups cut down. At 12 inches, it seems like, yeah, that's a pretty good compromise, and at 12 1/4, we're safe. We still probably could go, and we not ruling this out. We might even go to a further back CG before we get to the team trials, shrink the handle down a little more, and then be able to use this prop. But right now, the CG is about 3/4 of the way back, and this gets wimpy. This we can use, and this seems just about perfect. So these 3 things, when you do them in conjunction with each other, can change a whole plane from being a very stable, easy to fly plane with a medium to soft corner. You can turn it into a plane with a tremendous corner, and a total world-class expert level corner. But the trade-off is going to be you're going to need to jiggle around the handle size, prop diameters. All 3 of these things will result in more corner. Now, just listing other things that in conjunction with this or by themselves will give more corner. Solid lines, they usually result in more corner. Okay, moving the lead outs forward, that'll result in more corner. We've already talked about small diameter props. Taping the hinge lines. And be aware that most tapes pull up the paint. Some do, some don't. Frank McMillan gave me some tape that didn't pull up the paint, but it didn't stick too well. The tape that Dave Brown makes or sells seems to stick real well, but it may or may not pull the paint up. This is kind of an iffy thing, depending on how good your paint is. But again, less tip weight. Now, again, you see the relationship. When you use solid lines and you can use less tip weight, these 2 kind of go hand in hand, but the result will always be more corner. You'll always get that nicer corner with that combination. Shorter lines. Now, the reason shorter lines seem to work is because the same as solid lines, shorter lines let you trim with less tip weight. Less tip weight always lets you get a little bit more of a corner. The reason, and don't think that if you take all the tip weight out, it'll be great, but when you have an overabundance of tip weight, it's always dropping the tip, and it doesn't result in a clean turn or a clean corner. You can see the tip drop. Well, by taking some tip weight out and going shorter on the lines, you can find a little bit of a compromise that might be better. It might be a better overall compromise. Again, this is a back and forth thing. I wouldn't eliminate the idea of Paul Walker in his Impact article, and we'll just mention this, Walker's article. He made a flow chart of how he trimmed planes, and I basically agree with almost everything he says, if not everything. But again, read everything. There's more than one way to trim a plane. I'm only showing you the things that have worked for me, that have worked for Strega, and these are things that I've found to be significant. Now, you might be asking yourself, and it's probably a legitimate question, well, why didn't he do this at the Nats? Well, the reason is we wanted to fly at the Nats real good geometry. Let's go to another page here. The trade-off always is good geometry on this side of the chart, and let's call it slam dunk, where you have an outrageous corner, but a lot of times you can't hold angles and shapes and stuff. My feeling was at the Nats, I would be better off flying good geometry. I just felt that that was the way I wanted to go, and that was my first choice. Now, it might have been the wrong choice. You know, you can't go back and relive your life. But I know at the team trials, first off, the team trials, the square 8, the hourglass, and the triangle, these maneuvers have high K factors, and all they are is corners and angles. So this may be, again, you really can never tell. It may be that they're going to buy good geometry. Who knows? But we're going to give them one of each, and we're going to see how we did at the Nats with the nose-heavy good geometry system. And again, you can watch the tapes and figure this out for yourself. Also, if they are buying slam dunk corners at the team trails, which they may or may not, we don't really know. But the high K factor on these three maneuvers, it may be to our benefit to have the plane trimmed tail heavy. But last but not least, and I don't want to lose sight of this, is we can always go back. One of the choices we have is if we retrim this plane, you'll notice somewhere on the earlier videos, I made an exact list of what trim I had, what motor, what head gasket, what line rake at the Nats. I have that Nats setup, which I know flies super geometry, real nice geometry. It flies slow. I was real happy with that Nats setup. So if all else fails, always make it that you can go back to what you were comfortable with to begin with. Good information, don't lose that information. You'll need. Now Jimmy's the first one here tonight, and he brought the plans too. This is the one, give me the quick poop of it.
This is the one Rusty Brown found that he's been tearing up the old-time stunt circles with lately.
And he won the Nats with this. He won Nostalgia or Old Time, whatever. What is it, Old Time or Nostalgia?
All-time.
Okay.
From 1947 Aero Modeler, but the British Aero Modeler.
And this is Rusty Brown's original plan here?
No, this is the Aero Modeler original plan.
Oh, okay. Aero Modeler? Okay, and Jimmy has some extra copies of plans.
For Hertz.
For any of you fanatics that want to negotiate with Jimmy for a set of plans, give him a call.
It's the ultimate stunt ship. It's 68-inch wingspan, has a 4-inch nose, a McCoy 60, and the wings held on with rubber bands. What more could you ask for?
I mean, you know, how can you not like that airplane? Come on. Anyway, more on this later. When Jimmy starts building it, believe me, he'll either be very unhappy or very happy. We don't know yet.
This paragraph you should photograph.
Okay, we're reading right off the plans. Jimmy's going to read it because I can't see it.
It says McCoy 60 was used in original model, but any good 10cc glow plug engine will do. Line length on original was 90 feet. With this length, strain on the pilot's arm is eased, but the model will still stay out in rough weather when executing any maneuver. Where can I go to find a 90-foot old
I just happen to have a set of 90-0-27.
It's probably 008 by now.
Oh, man. Saturday morning, the rain has subsided. We're at Coxsackie, and believe it or not, there's a bunch of people here. In the back, we're going to go see him right away. It's Chuck Holsapple and Jim Tate with his incredible big giant stunt ship, which we have never videoed yet. And of course, the Aries is here.
Get it out of the truck.
Where's the Aries? Get the Aries out. Pretty good turnout for a rainy day. Okay, let's get some photos here. Uh-oh.
In addition, any other grass area you see, you can fly in. Jim Tate and Chuck Holsapple got a nice circle over in the back here that they're practicing on. This is your chance to fly all you want. Practice for tomorrow, practice for today.
Yeah, this is. I see they got you on shit detail as usual. Hey, these dogs look happy.
Yeah, they spend a lot of me when they come in.
Yeah. Let's get a cat later and have some fun with them. What kind of an unusual motor setup, inboard mounted, muffled up top, and rubber blazooey going out the bottom of the tank, out a wedge on the tank. I can't even figure out how this works. See if we can get some of this on video later. So when, you gonna fly today or not? Man, it looks like it's gonna be a nice day. No rain. Rain's wetting up here. Mamma mia. Hey, Now you notice Mike Ravitch here. He has the same shirt I have on.
Why don't you fly it all in maneuver?
Except he's got big stripes and I got little stripes. He's got like the 60 shirt and I got the Toon Pipe shirt on. I know you guys are going to harass me about that later. I see Holsapple's already flying the behemoth here. Awesome. I could see this from the other side of the field, Jim. What is this, a 100-inch span or something? 74-inch span?
I think the 100 is the weight of the weight.
Oh, the 100 is the weight. Looks great. Anybody knows I love big planes. Make them big. Make them heavy. Make them hard to fly. See who cares. Hey, we will be spending some time back here with Chuck trying to work on this guy, that's for sure. In fact, we're going to run out of tape here real soon, so pick this up on the next tape. See if we get the rest of Chuck's flight here. Kind of cool. We're going to try to trim this out. That's the next step, or maybe help him in some way, or hinder him, as the case may be. Boy, this thing looks big in the air, too. I love that look. More to come when we return to Coxsackie here. Coxsackie, 1995. Finally managed to get Chuck out of hibernation here. Great, yeah, I've talked to him a few times on the phone. He sounded excited, you know. Got the fire burning. Maybe we can pour some gasoline on that fire later. Jim Tate's OPS powered ship here. We'll get to some of this on tape later.
I think it glides forever.
Boy, oh boy, that's unbelievable. Chuck Holsapple, back in the swim, so to speak. Let's get this thing on tape. Maybe I ought to get a new tape out. We're right at the end here. In fact, we will. We'll pick this up on the next tape. More to come. Don't go away. Don't sell your babushka.